Hello and welcome to Animal Watch, and this week we're talking North American Indian Wolfdogs.
NorthAID is short for North American Indian Wolfdog. First developed by Mark Klemperer in 1986, a zoologist and biology teacher whose passion is selective breeding programs to produce wild domestic crosses with a next to perfect look of the wild animal, complemented with a companion animal temperament. The NorthAID Wolfdog looks almost indistinguishable to a pure-blood wolf, but has a personality better adapted at living in domestic situations. Still, it is important that these dogs remain in the hands of the experienced at all costs, as like all wolf dogs, they are not your average pet and do need a degree of understanding to not only care for one, but to be a good and protective owner for one of these beautiful animals. Today I'm visiting NorthAID Wolfdog owner Julie Bradshaw of Miyax Dogs, who is lucky enough to have taken on one of these wolf dogs, a staggeringly beautiful Arctic wolf descendant called Eve. Hopefully she can tell me more about what it's like to live with one.
Oh my goodness me. We met Winston the other week, and this week we've got Eve, and Eve is from the same line, roughly, as Winston. She's related to him. I do believe that she's cousins. And Julie, she's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
and you know what? I almost believe that she could be one of the most beautiful wolf dogs in the world.
Yeah, I think she's up there. Yeah, I'm probably biased, but I think she's right up there with one of the most beautiful.
And she's got a flexible neck like Winston, which we just saw again a minute ago, which of course is a lovely wolfy trait, because wolves love to kick their head back and have a nice howl. So Julie, tell us more about the North American Indian dog.
Okay, so the North American Indian dog was developed by a gentleman called Mark Klemperer over in the USA. The breeding program started back in the early 1980s, and he selected some wolf dogs, and he created a bloodline known today as the North American Indian dog. It's many generations removed from a pure wolf, but it has retained a lot of the original wolf content, obviously bred specifically for the traits, which includes the look of, in Eve's case, the Arctic wolf, but bred specifically for a very affable, friendly and trainable temperament, so they can be used in educational work, film and television, and as ambassadors, is what they're known as in the USA.
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely beautiful. I mean, what is the exact wolf content of Eve?
Well, again, Eve, like Winston, would be considered a high content wolf dog. That would be, well, in Eve's case, it's over 90%, but that can be anything from 80% upwards to, obviously, pure wolves at 100%.
And like Winston, it's important, isn't it, to make the comparison of multi-generational, because I think some people think that you can't have one of these legally, but it's perfectly legal to have one when you've had. Is it after an F3 that you don't need a license?
It is
anymore?
about generations. So at the end of the day, that law is there to protect wild animals and wild species, as it should be. And it's also about domestication. So the reason that those rules are in place are to protect wolves from being exploited and being bred with dogs today. And we extend that law to the first generation, so the children, and the second generation, which would be the grandchildren of a wolf.
So the wolf background to Eve, is that's mainly Arctic, is it?
Well, it's certainly a lot of Arctic, yes it is. The primary subspecies would be Arctic, but there are other North American subspecies in there as well.
Yeah, I think the thing that's most interesting is, of course, the dog content, isn't it? Because what's the dog content behind Eve?
Well, the dogs involved were Great Pyrenees mountain dogs, so chosen obviously because they were compatible in size and in colour, but obviously also in temperament.
Yeah, and Pyrenees are actually beautiful dogs, aren't they? They've got an incredible temperament. They're also very close to people. They like to be close. They don't want to leave people's side, do they?
No, very loyal and affable dogs.
Yeah. A wolf can only breed one time in the year. So coming up to around December, January, the males will get a rush of testosterone as the females will often come into heat. Will Eve go through the sort of the winter wobblies or whatever you want to call it?
It's the layman's terms winter wolf syndrome.
Anneka says winter wobblies.
Certainly that hasn't happened yet in Eve's case. Whether it will, she's still only a youngster at a couple of years old. I do think that management is obviously a big key factor in that, and the work that you put in helping them to deal with those feelings through that period. All of our wolf dogs, despite their content actually, all of the dogs that have some wolf in their ancestry only season in the spring, and a number of the males tend to be certainly more fertile, if not only fertile, in the spring as well.
How is she as far as destruction in the house? Because I know some wolf dogs can be quite destructive, but how is Eve in your house? And have you managed to manage it in a way where it's actually, she's not actually chewing anything at all?
When she was changing her teeth at 5 months, she was a bit chewy. And then again, when she first hit adolescence at around sort of 17 months or so, she had a little moment where she chewed the sofa, but no, she's okay now. We've moved past that now.
I mean, would you advise people, obviously, if they were interested in a wolf dog like this, not to have a leather sofa?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, certainly anything that tastes like a nice tasty treat is obviously going to be a target for that. I mean, I would also say that with a high content wolf dog, and I think obviously with some mids and even some established breeds of wolf dog, that they can be destructive when they're unsupervised, and that's just boredom, it's not specific to wolf dogs. It definitely happens in all dog breeds. She loves to work and she loves to train. She's not a dog that can be just left to lie on the sofa all day, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, they're very intelligent, they're very willing to work. Eve's very willing to work for her treats and her food, as you can see. And that's why they make very good ambassador dogs.
Tell us, what have you done with Eve since you've had her?
She's done a few modelling jobs. Were her first couple of weeks here in the UK, we did some work with a British underwear firm.
Oh,
excuse me.
She's just a big dog.
Yeah, and then in more recent, certainly in the last year, we've done a lot of work educationally. We've been at various public events for dogs. We don't want to popularise wolf dogs, particularly into the mainstream, but at the same time, we don't want people to be afraid of what they don't know or don't understand. Yes. And so Eve really is there in a role to meet people and to dispel some of the myths and to certainly take away some of the fear. Because obviously, they are domestic. At the end of the day, we have been 10 years now where wolf dogs have been kept as domestic pets in the UK, and we don't want those to be misrepresented, misunderstood.
Do you think that we can get her to give a little howl to the camera right now?
You're certainly better at it than I am, I think.
Absolutely beautiful, Julie. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been so happy to meet Eve today. If you've enjoyed this episode of Animal Watch, please give me a big thumbs up and be sure to tune in every single week where I'll be bringing you some more films on wolves, wolf dogs. And Julie, please tell us your website.
www.miyax.co.uk.
Okay, bye for now.
Julie's website can be found here, where she is available to answer any questions on wolf dogs, both NorthAID and also other breeds such as the Salus.